Okay, we gotta talk about the shy guy. Not that one. I'm talking about SCP-096. If that name sounds familiar, it's most likely because you've heard it from a meme or a video while doom scrolling on your phone, which is completely understandable. Doom scrolling's fun. But if your only source of information about this guy is from Gmod brain rot videos like Tung Tung Sahur versus SCP-096, then you're incredibly misinformed.
Tung Tung.
But honestly, I feel like SCP content in general these days has deteriorated so much that it's not even scary anymore. Like, look at this video I found while making this video. This is a real thumbnail on YouTube. Look at how they massacred my boy. I'm sure by now most people probably know the main shtick of SCP-096, but if you don't, the bottom line is basically he's just a tall, skinny guy with self-image issues. As a matter of fact, he has such bad self-image issues that just viewing his face will cause him to completely crash out. He doesn't even care how you view his face. It can be in person, it can be in a video, it can even be a picture. It doesn't matter, he'll still crash out on you. He gets so pressed anytime someone sees his face that his only solution is to run to their location and kill them. Like, if this was real, this would be an internet troll's dream. Screw telling me my own IP address, just show me a picture of this guy and hear me get mauled over the mic. If you're at all active in the SCP community, you've probably seen this infamous picture and heard the term 4 f***ing pixels a million times. That whole meme comes from the official SCP-096 document. More specifically in video interview log 096-1-C, where basically two people are talking about a photograph that contains 4 pixels of SCP-096's face, with 4 pixels being enough to trigger him. Which wholly spawns so many different questions. If 4 pixels is enough to trigger him, then where's the line drawn? Is 2 pixels enough? Is 1 pixel enough? What if no pixels of him are even visible on the photograph, but he was just in the general direction that it was taken in? Forgetting a photograph, what if you were at a place so far away from him that you couldn't even realistically see his face? Like, what would happen if I was on the moon and I looked up and just happened to meet eyes with him on Earth? Or what if I just happened to look in his general direction from an entirely different solar system? Where is the line drawn? If you couldn't tell, basically the main idea of SCP-096 is you don't want to look at his face. Any other part of him is fine, except the moneymaker. But enough about his face. What exactly is he? His official SCP document describes him as a 2.38 meter tall humanoid creature with very little muscle mass, out of proportion arms, skin with almost no pigmentation, and no body hair. In other words, he's basically just a naked version of Slender Man. On a side note, I was actually really curious to see if SCP-096 was inspired by Slender Man, and I found out that they were only made 9 months from each other, with SCP-096 being made on March 17th, 2010, and Slender Man being made on June 10th, 2009. But from all available sources, I couldn't find any information about them actually being based off one another. So he doesn't like people looking at him. Who cares? Just because he's a shy guy doesn't mean I have to hold back my peepers from looking at him. I mean, what's he gonna do, cry? Well, yes, that's actually exactly what he does. He'll also kill you and you. No, guys, that's literally what it says in the document. It says SCP-096 will proceed to kill and SCP-096-1. SCP-096-1 is the name given to the person who viewed his face. It's in the document, guys. Speaking of the document, it says that SCP-096's speeds vary from 35 kilometers per hour to kilometers per hour. To put that into American, 35 kilometers per hour is approximately 21.748 miles per hour. That's fast enough to qualify you for Olympic running. And from how the document describes it, it sounds like that's one of his lower speeds. So forget Usain Bolt, just show a picture of this guy and he'll leave you in the dust. Speaking of things in dust, SCP-096 has a variety of games with him in it. Some of the most popular ones are SCP Containment Breach, SCP Secret Laboratory, and SCP Unity. SCP Containment Breach is a horror game from 2012 based inside the SCP universe. It was the first SCP game to actually take place inside of the facility, and the first game to include several of the most popular SCPs. SCPs like SCP-173, 106, and 079 were some of the first ones inside of it, and SCP-096 didn't get added till several versions later. The model for SCP-096 when it was first added was extremely janky, to say the least, with worse textures and a more blocky appearance. But this model was mostly just a placeholder, and in future updates was replaced with the more iconic model we know SCP-096 for. This game was released back in 2012 when horror games were at an all-time high, and Let's Plays videos like Containment Breach were gaining in popularity. And even though this wasn't the first SCP game, that title goes to SCP-087, a horror game about a haunted stairwell SCP, SCP Containment Breach still pioneered the SCP genre and laid the groundwork for all other future SCP games. It also undeniably contributed to SCP's popularity and in my opinion is probably the most famous SCP game. SCP Secret Laboratory is a multiplayer shooter horror game where you can play as the SCPs. There are also humans you can play in the game, such as Guard, D-Class, Scientist, MTF, and CI. The designs for all the SCPs and people are completely different than they are in Containment Breach. This game has its own unique, realistic, cartoony art style that many people within the community are fond of. The game can be pretty fun sometimes, and is probably the most popular active SCP game, with many members of the community attributing SCP Secret Laboratory for their love of SCP. SCP Unity was a modern-day remake of the original SCP Containment Breach. It featured several revamped SCPs along with some new ones. It was a highly anticipated remaster with a large part of the community excitedly waiting for its release. Unfortunately, the game never was released and its development was discontinued in 2021 due to the lead developer experiencing severe mental health and stress issues. Even more unfortunately, the lead developer never gave the unfinished game to any other developers, so the project was completely abandoned. However, you still can play the game. It's very unfinished, but it's free to download online. This game is probably the least popular of the three, but it's still worth mentioning. And fun fact, SCP Unity is where I got the model for Shy Guy in this video. The differences in Shy Guy's models from each game is night and day, with each one having its own specific characteristics, but also staying true to the original document's description. Each one is unique, but honestly, my favorite of the bunch is definitely the original from SCP Containment Breach. There's something about it that just stands out. Maybe it's the contrast between the white and red, or maybe it's because of just how iconic it is, but something about it is just mesmerizing. This guy. Going back to the document though, it shows some really interesting details. Like after SCP-096 kills an SCP-096-1, he will calm down and try to make his way back to his natural habitat in the... Why is it redacted? Why is that redacted? Wait, why is that redacted? Why is so much of it redacted? Little side tangent here, but why are certain things inside of these documents classified? Isn't the whole point of these documents to describe what the SCP is and what it can do? So why would you leave out possible crucial information by redacting it in an already classified document? And who are you trying to hide them from? Other scientists? Like if these were public documents, then I would understand why you would need to classify certain information inside of them. But these aren't public documents. These are classified SCP documents inside the SCP Foundation. The only way you could access these documents is if you were inside the SCP facility in the first place. So why are they classifying already classified information? And some of these redactions are ridiculously unnecessary. Like why is SCP-096's natural habitat and top speed redacted from the document? In what situation would knowing his top speed be dangerous enough that you have to redact it from the already redacted document? It makes no sense, but maybe that's the point. The SCP Foundation works with anomalies and stuff they don't understand all the time. Something not making sense is literally the only reason why the Foundation was made in the first place. So I guess I can't judge too harshly. But enough lollygagging. SCP-096 is actually pretty terrifying when you think about it. I mean, he's literally the prime example of an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. Except in this case, that immovable object is your face, so I'm guessing it's not that immovable. In fact, his unstoppableness is highlighted in the document where it says, at this point, no known material or method can impede SCP-096's progress. Meaning he can get through any material. Your house could be made out of bedrock from Minecraft and he could still get into it. However, I think I'm gonna have to disagree with that second part of the sentence saying that no method can impede his progress, as I can think of one method that is completely unmatched against him. The paper bag.